structure. So Stuart, when you rise, will play the Laird of Annaple's Lament.
Good afternoon, greetings from Pipers'Persuasion. Today we want to introduce you to our latest conversation with Stuart Liddell. Before that, however, I wish to express our wholehearted gratitude to Everett Austin from United States of America, who very kindly made a donation to Pipers'Persuasion recently, which helped purchase our latest software editing suite called Pinnacle 21. Also, Everett contributed through his donation to the fuel which was used to leave here in Ayrshire to go to Oban, see Angus MacColl, then go down to see Stuart Liddell in the same afternoon at Loch Gilphead, and return back here in the early hours of darkness. So, thanks very much, Everett Austin. Today we chart the rise of that brilliant, fabulous musician, because that's what he is, Stuart Liddell. And we go from his early tuition by great pipers and move on through his, very briefly we touch on his solo successes, because that's known and it's been charted elsewhere, but we touch on it, and in doing so I thought I'd ask him about his practice and his preparation for solos and his general approach. And that was interesting. Also, switching horses slightly, moved on to his pipe band career, his early pipe bands, and then we moved on briefly to Scottish Power, SFU, and then we charted his rise with the very beginnings of Inveraray Pipe Band to this year's success in the World Pipe Band Championships. And not just a chronological exercise again, but to speak to him about, again, his approach to pipe bands and his, how he possibly achieved some success there. What were some of the decisions they made during the rise of this fabulous pipe band, Inveraray Pipe Band. So, we all had under an hour because he did other tuition to carry on, and there are some omissions as will be with such a fabulous guy as Stuart. One of them was the travelling and the concerts he does, as well as all the solo piping. And chat his involvement with McCallum bagpipes in the last few years. McRae bagpipes, the new line of bagpipes, and Stuart has been pretty instrumental working along with Stuart McCallum and Kenny MacLeod and building this new instrument, a copy from the original McRae bagpipe. And they needed a chanter to go with that, the Argyll solo piping chanter, and again Stuart's been instrumental in seeing how that was made. So these are omissions, but during the footage you'll see and hear shots, photographs, video which perhaps touch on some of these subjects. And it only remains for me now to ask you to sit back and enjoy as I pose my first question to Stuart about where he started learning bagpipes, etc. You started playing pipes at what age, do you reckon?
I was at the age of 9.
Aye. Who taught you that?
So the job I'm doing today was done by my grandfather around the Argyll schools. So it started in 19...
What was his name?
Pipe Major Ronald McCallum, MBE, piper to the Duke of Argyll.
And he had a long history of pipe. Tell me a wee bit about him, because we can't interview him now.
No, that's right. Well, so I was, at the age of 9, my grandfather, he was, as I say, piper to the Duke of Argyll. He had retired from the army. He was a pipe major in the army.
What regiment?
8th Argylls.
Okay.
And I think I don't have a lot of accurate details about.
No,
his,
just a couple of sentences. That's all.
He came from Campbelltown, famous McCallum piping family from down there. Cousins with Hugh McCallum, direct cousins, and
that's Willie McCallum's uncle.
Hugh and that's right, yeah. Willie's dad, old Willie, they were brothers.
That's right. Yeah.
Big family as well.
So, and all famous pipers and great pipers too.
That's right.
Famous in their day for being great players, and were they composers as well?
That's right, yeah. Well, my grandfather composed a few tunes. One of them was the 6/8 March, the Highland Brigade Depot. It seems to be to the fore at the moment. A few bands are playing it, but a couple other tunes as well. Sheriff McMaster Campbell, a nice 2/4 March. So yeah, he did.
So he took you in hand. How did he teach you? Can you maybe?
I do remember it well. At the age of 9, I started. I think I was dabbling in the chanter and the goose a little bit before that. I was sort of mimicking it. I always wanted to play pipes and tried to mimic the sound. The pipes were always around, always listening. There was always people coming for lessons. So so when I first officially started, it was in the school, so it was group lessons. But occasionally I would go up to his house for other lessons as well. But it ended up, I don't know if I was that keen to be going to the gym, as it were, for pipes, So we used to just sit and watch the football a lot. So that, but I do remember him teaching me The Seagull by Donald MacLeod. But he just taught me it by little segments by ear. He would play it, he would sing it, and he would show me on the chanter, and I would play it back to him, mimic it, and got the first part off pretty quickly while we were watching the football. That's always stuck with me.
And they just played it according to the way that Donald composed it. None of this thumbing at the back or anything.
Interestingly, that he did actually do it that way. It was the.
Did he?
It was the.
The right, 2 or 3 strikes, the back thumb.
That's right. Interesting. So I mean, I didn't know what the tune was or where it came from, but I think he probably chose that way because it's easy for a beginner to get. So So it stuck with me for 8 years.
Uh-huh.
That technique of teaching it. But yeah, so taught in the schools till the age of 13. He passed away when I was 13 in 1986.
Uh-huh.
So that was a bit of a blow, because all these years you have everything at your disposal. You know, we all do this. We all take things for granted, and when he passed away, there was a big shock and determination after that to really stick in at the pipes and do well. So after my grandfather passed away, I was the age of 13, 1986. I was looking locally for another teacher, and Arthur Gillis offered to teach me. So Arthur had actually had lessons off my grandfather previously.
Where was it Arthur stayed? He stayed up towards Oban.
That's right, just off Tynalt, Kilcregan.
Uh-huh.
Kilcrenan.
Aye. And you were staying, just to put it in its context, you were staying in
Inverary.
Inverary.
Yep.
The Lochfine Hotel?
Lochfine Hotel, that's where we lived, yeah.
Your folks had that for
That's right,
long
yeah.
and weary.
Aye, they worked hard, good business, Lochfine.
Well, we're talking about that. Your mother played the piano and she had their own wee group.
Aye.
A wee Cayley band.
That's right, aye.
That's
Fine
successful.
folk, aye, that's
And
right.
he used to entertain folk after the games and Inverary games and various other things.
Oh, aye. I don't know if you might have been there yourself, Alan, I'm not sure, were you?
I think I'm going to tell you a wee secret, and this is funny. It's funny now. It was funny at the time too. I was up with my daughter, my son-in-law, and Marion, my wife. And Marion used to play with Fergie MacDonald before we got married, you see, on the piano.
Aye.
So we all had a wee drink in your hotel, the Lochfine, after the games, and the Cayley band was setting up, but your mother was still busy behind the bar or whatever. So Marion took the opportunity, as she always does. She jumped on the piano and started playing, and that was fine.
Aye.
Until your mother come along, and I think the two of them had a preacher piece about who was playing it.
All right, all right. Oh, aye.
But so it's great music in the family.
Sorry, aye.
Aye, and but it's your uncle, and then there's obviously music in the family, your mother and all that sort of stuff. So there's a bit of continuity there.
Exactly.
So who taught you then? Arthur, did he take you through Pipers'Persuasion or what?
He did. He
Aye.
gave, yeah, I had already been introduced to Alistair Cherrick. That was my first Piper by my grandfather.
Uh-huh.
I remember getting Glengarry's Lament, but it was a different setting from Ronald Mackenzie.
Uh-huh. So what setting was that?
It's just Ronald Mackenzie, I think, again, young fella, I'm not sure about the whole background of it all, but there's just wee tiny subtle differences.
Mhm.
A couple of notes changed here and there, but it's a nice version of it through Arthur. So he taught me a lot about Pembroke, about the setup of the instrument, and all that kind of stuff. I was a bit of a know-all kind of cocky wee kind of guy, and
There's nothing a wee bit of confidence.
it didn't sit well with Arthur. Unfortunately, he stopped the lessons after a year.
Aye.
And of course that was a massive blow for me as well, because it made me ultra determined.
What age were you then?
I was 14.
Oh, for goodness
No,
sake.
no, I think, we joked, Arthur and I, we used to go to other contests later on, and we used to joke about that, I think it was an absolute perfect thing, because it fired me up.
So what happened then for tuition?
So I didn't really have any tuition. I just used to listen to a lot of pipe band tapes, and used to copy and mimic tunes, memorise tunes by ear. And I remember back, I've got some recordings of myself back then, and they're not great, they're not pretty. A lot of technical stuff, maybe not quite as sharp as it
Just
should
maybe needing somebody at your elbow just to keep you on track.
Right. So it was musical, but it wasn't technically very good at all. So, but every once a year, the Stracher Piping School ran their school in the first week of July, first week of the summer holidays. So I always went there faithfully. I mean, I've been there since I was beginning chanter, and my grandfather used to teach there. But the head teacher at that point was Jim Henderson.
I know Jim.
Jim Henderson.
Uh-huh.
He was a fantastic teacher, and me being as hungry as I was, and him being as good as a teacher as he is, soaked everything up, you know, and it was brilliant. I loved it, and used to come away from there buzzing, you know. So eventually, years down the line, from the time I could drive beyond that, I started going for lessons to Jim, and made a huge difference.
Was Jim at Dunoon by that time?
He had moved around a wee bit.
Aye.
Yes, he had a house
Aye.
in Dunoon. Yeah,
Aye.
that's right. Yeah, and then he moved to down in Campbelltown
He
area
did
as well,
Right.
and now he's back in East Kilbride, I think.
East Kilbride.
So, but fantastic teacher, absolutely fantastic. All the tiny. He went to my grandfather as well. There's connections there.
Amazing that. Yeah.
And then Hugh
Yeah.
McCallum I went to for Pipers'Persuasion.
That'd be a good experience.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Aye.
Hugh's a great teacher as well,
Aye.
and offering such a vast knowledge of
Aye.
the way to play tunes and
Hugh's background, where did he pick out his Pembroke lineage from?
well, I think he was pupil of John Mackenzie,
Okay.
and also my grandfather as well. He would go
Aye.
to my grandfather for
Uh-huh.
lessons as well. So
So Hugh had won all the medals and everything else over the years. Very active, 60s, 70s, 80s, eh?
aye,
Aye.
yeah.
That's great. So when did you start winning serious prizes? What was your first gold medal? Was it Oban or Inverness?
Inverness 2000.
Okay. What did you play?
Lament for the Dead. Which
Set tune, obviously.
set tune, aye, set
Aye.
tune.
Aye.
I didn't at that particular year. I didn't prepare very well. The tunes. There were 6 tunes you had to submit. 3 of them were off and memorised in pretty good shape, and the other 3 were not particularly well learnt at all. So Oban that year, I got one of the tunes I didn't learn.
Mm-hmm.
Subsequently, did my best to get through it, broke down, and then Inverness, just young and silly, you know. I mean, we were just out, a few pals, Scott Drummond, you know,
Aye.
myself. We were
Aye.
out the night before, late
Aye.
night, and you know the story.
Aye.
Just happened to wake up the next morning. I was on early. I think I was like 7th on, and it started at 8 o'clock. The B&B was just round the corner, so but still in a panic, I threw on the kit and ran round, and I found out that there was 2 competitors on before me.
Uh-huh.
So that was fine. I had a bit of time to get the pipes out. Wasn't feeling particularly good, a wee bit hungover. Not proud of that at all, but I just remember putting my kilt jacket on, standing in the window, sun blazing, and trying to sweat everything out, getting the pipes settled down.
Aye.
And vowed to myself that in the tuning room to never ever let this happen again. Prepare really well from now on. So went on, pipes behaved themselves, they were fine. I didn't make any mistakes. I thought the tune went, well, it wasn't a disaster, you know.
Aye.
You know, there was nothing wrong with it, but
Reasonably happy.
right. Well, I mean, as you can
Aye.
be, you know,
Aye,
like
aye.
you know what it's like.
Yeah.
So, but then so didn't expect it at all. You know, I was cutting about the rest of the day with my jeans on, and
Aye.
you're getting wee hints from folk. You better get the kilt back on. What? So, yeah, sure enough, I got the nod for the medal.
Okay, that's terrific. It's a real biggie, and it's a good one to get away behind you too.
Yeah.
And what about Oban?
Oban was a different story for me. My dad passed away in 2003.
Uh-huh.
In December, completely off the pipes for a couple of months after that, and then I just had this, again, determination fired up, got the pipes up, and really prepared myself that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, so it was 2004 I got the Oban medal.
Okay. And you played?
Patrick Ogg McCrimmon.
Uh-huh. That's funny because Angus said he played Patrick Ogg and
Aye.
he got the medal with us, the same tune.
Then Oban as well, was it?
I think so.
Right.
Watch your interview, folks.
That was a different year completely. I was on the Cane drone raids. I was like taking no prisoners. I was really, really preparing myself.
What kind of bag did you use? A sheepskin?
Sheepskin bag, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And got my first prize in the senior Piper that year as well. Played in the medal, ran over to the Royal and played in the senior Piper, got a fourth there. Praise the Lord.
So it was a good day.
Good day. The pipes, remember the pipes they just wouldn't move, you know. So.
And what about the light music?
That year, or in general? Light music.
When did you win the sort of? Well, we'll say former winners.
Former winners. I remember the first big prize, but it would be a third prize in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had sort of been in and out of the prizes since then, you know. I think I can't remember, I've got it once or twice, the Silver Star at Inverness.
Right. Could you explain that to the viewers?
The Silver Star is the double march suspe and reel. That's where you play two different marches, two different suspes, two different reels. Well, the set lasts anywhere for about 9-10 minutes.
Aye. And the location?
Is in Eden Court Theatre.
Theatre in Inverness.
Yeah.
And how about Oban? Did you do the same Oban?
Yeah, same sort of thing there. I think 2 or 3 years ago, I think I managed to get the MSR there as well. So sort of latterly, I think the last.
There's been a few clasps and how many Glenfiddich?
2.
That's good.
Two Glenfiddich.
Mm-hmm.
I think from about 2009 onwards, it seemed to be a good purple patch.
And you I will go into maybe recitals in a moment or two, but you alluded a few moments ago about preparation. So if you're preparing for a competition, how would you prepare, broadly speaking, your tunes for a start?
Well, it's months prior
Mm-hmm.
to the contest. You need to learn and memorise it, and then you need to spend the rest of the time polishing the tunes. I'm saying this is how it should be done, but every year is different, you know. And it's.
Do you ever listen to other recordings?
Yes, I do.
Like Pipers'Persuasion,
absolutely.
or various other
Yep.
record. Do you keep a large selection
Well,
of
I think
recordings?
nowadays the internet has everything at your fingertips, you know. So back in maybe a few years ago, I used to record all the pipeline programs on the radio, so I've got quite a vast selection of cassette tapes.
I used to record these myself, sent them out to Canada, funnily enough, because they couldn't get them in Canada.
Aye. Quite. So I mean, that's back from 1986. You know.
It's a tremendous, because I think you'd agree, you can't just rely on your own memory from like a couple of decades ago, somebody showing you a tune.
Well, and trends change as well, you know. You learn the tune, you get it memorised, hopefully by Christmas, and then the rest of the time you're studying it, and you're listening to other ways of playing it, and then you form an opinion of how best it suits you. You know, and then you take it from there, then you cement it, and then you polish the performance.
about the MSRs? How do you tackle that?
To be fair, in the last, I haven't changed many MSRs in the last week. Well, because I'm in charge
Everybody's
of
got their own favourites.
They do as well, but
Mm-hmm.
time being the factor there, being in charge of the band as well, so it's
Aye.
hard to kind of. Although I do feel this year I'm going to
What
change
sort
them
of favourites have you got at the moment?
out. Abercairnie Highlanders.
Ah,
It was always a favourite right from
Aye.
a young teenager.
aye.
Duke of Roxburgh's Farewell to Black Mountain Forest.
Yeah.
I like John McCall tunes.
I was just going to mention that because Angus and I were speaking about the John McCall tunes, the Clan McCall, Mrs. John McCall, and so on. Tremendous marches.
Absolutely brilliant.
Great march. And Strathspey seems to be, there's a dearth of great Strathspeys. You've got umpteen marches, but folk seem to have trouble picking a Strathspey that there's another dozen folk playing the same Strathspey in the same day.
Maybe, yeah. Aye, no, there's plenty out there, and you do hear some of the younger players coming up. Like you hear some less common
Yeah.
Strathspeys, like at the Glenfiddich Championship there. I don't know
Aye.
if you're there. Just
Yes.
Callum-
The wee
Callum,
change,
yeah.
and it's nice to change of phases
Aye.
and change of tunes. That
there's a
sort
lot
of
of
thing.
good tunes out there. You just need to look
And
a bit
there's
harder.
plenty of good reels, of course.
Aye.
Reels have never been a bother, have they?
Nah, they're all good.
So that's your preparation. You're looking obviously at execution and just tidying up fingers, I suppose.
Yep.
Do you do a lot of repetition? What
Aye.
do you do on the pipes or the practice
A
chant?
bit of both. For me personally, I found that playing, I set myself a target.
Aye.
Usually, I pick a tune it's probably I'm finding the hardest
Mm-hmm.
to get clean. So I'll maybe go through that and set the bar. Like say, get the first two parts
Aye.
without missing in. You know,
Okay.
it really trains your concentration, and you have to try and get there. And if you miss even just one tiny wee thing, back to the start, do it again. You know.
Do you record it?
No, but I do record my piping.
I bet you don't record
Not
the
that
practice
sec-
chant.
not that bit,
thing
no,
like that,
no.
you know. Sometimes you get beyond these things. I've found to go back to record because my pipe's so bad. The metronome, he was using metronome. You ever used that? Or?
No, I don't really. Well, no. I guess it's a good tool for mastering note durations, but it's got no soul.
Aye.
You know, it
I
doesn't
would agree.
really-
It's just the mechanics, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's not really. I don't
Aye.
believe in it. No,
It is.
it restricts you.
From sustaining notes, just. Aye.
Exactly, or just put a bit of
The
excitement.
expression,
in your
if you like.
play. Yeah. just-
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're restricted. With
But it's good for learning, a good learning
Good learning
that's
tool,
it.
and that's about it.
It's a wee bit of discipline and
Yeah.
the background.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Your recitals, and then I'm going to move on to pipe band. You're doing a lot of recitals and teaching abroad and that sort of thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where are you mainly teaching?
I go out to the States quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
Besides the local schools here, I go out to the States. I've just been to Australia there,
Uh-huh.
and Canada. I go out to the Pipe and Hot Summer Drummer,
Okay.
help out there sometimes at the Jack
Aye.
Lee School.
So, and that's Vancouver.
That's fun. Just outside it, yeah, it's about a 5-hour car journey.
Which we'll lead on to in a moment
Aye.
after we've been talking about SFU. And whereabouts in America do you go? Are you
It's
in
pretty much
the
all
United States?
over. Yeah, Seattle,
Uh-huh.
New York State.
So it's
it just-
east and west.
Aye.
Aye.
There's the winter
And
storm thing.
you find that the standards is coming up?
I think so. I think
Yep.
yeah, I think definitely
Uh,
the standard is improving a lot. Yeah.
Toronto seemed to be having a wee bit of a lull for a while, but the chaps that did well in the gold medal there, they brought it back to the fore again. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's nice to see that. you know.
Definitely.
And I think Nova Scotia is starting to produce 2 or 3
Aye, yeah.
excellent pipers
Aye.
as well, you know.
Aye. It's good.
Gandhi's always been there, of course, but his son's there, and there's
Mm.
other 2 or 3 other folk heard round the games this year that come across from Nova Scotia, so it's good to see that. But you also teach in Austria and
That's right. Yes, out in the continent. Yeah.
Aye.
That's
Your wife's
right.
from Austria.
Hmm?
She's Austrian.
Oh yes, Sabina. Yeah.
Aye.
She's Austrian. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's,
we
nice.
met.
That's good, eh? Right, Stuart, I think we're going to leave the solo piping for a moment or two, and we'll just take you back to the bands. You obviously, when you were a bit younger, took an interest in band. With the Scottish Power your first band?
The local band here, the Middergyle Pipe Band,
Uh-huh.
was my first band. I think I joined at the age of 12.
Okay.
And I think, to be fair, I think pipe bands really caught my ear the most.
Aye.
Right from the beginning. I used to own, my first ever cassette tape was the Champion of Champions, Strathclyde Police.
Aye,
I think I wore it down
aye,
right to the
Aye.
ribbons. You know, it was
Aye.
a great album. Still a great album,
Yeah.
actually.
aye.
One of the most musical albums out there. So lovely. That, and then Simon Fraser,
Uh-huh.
New Som Prey.
Uh-huh.
These were the first two. I mean, I was comparing them both, and they're like both excellent. You think, wow, this is great, you know.
Aye.
And then my grandfather, he had a collection of tapes, some of the older stuff from
Uh-huh.
Shotts and Dykehead and
Yeah.
Dyson and Dundonald.
Great bands as well.
Absolutely, you know, so
Great
it's-
bands.
Yeah, really
Aye.
catched my ear. The drumming
Aye.
thing.
Aye,
Really-
Guthert
really-
and
aye.
the Cameronian rant, and
Yep.
Pretty Marion and all
Yep.
that stuff. Aye.
My cousin and I used to sit and memorise the drum salute of the Strathclyde Police's
Yes.
album. You know, I used to rummel away in my granny's table and she said, "Stop rummeling," you know. But all memorised, all picked up by
Aye.
ear, you know. So
Perfect.
aye, but,
So when did you join Scottish Power?
right. So I'll just quickly just a brief history.
Yeah.
Middergyle, age of 12, grade 4
Uh-huh.
at the time. There wasn't an A and B. It was just grade 4. We managed to upgrade ourselves to grade 3 for a short time, and then back to grade 4 again. As soon as I could drive, age of 17, I wrote a letter to Scottish Power Pipe
Uh-huh.
Band asking if I could get an audition to play.
And that was Roddy's band at that
That
time.
wasn't. It was Harry McNulty.
Was it Harry McNulty? Aye.
Harry McNulty. This was his last. This was 1990 winter time. So
Okay.
he had one more year left
Mhm.
in charge. 91. So Eric Ward, leading drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got to join the band, which was great. Loved every practice. It was like a big eye opener. I used to go in and sit and listen to Eric score actually before we kicked
Aye.
off with the pipes
Aye.
over in Cathcart, south of Glasgow.
Uh-huh.
And then Harry retired, and the committee brought in Hugh McInnes,
Right.
who yeah,
Great player.
absolutely,
Oh.
absolutely, Hugh, yeah.
Aye.
So Hugh brought in his own leading drummer. He wanted to have John Scullion
Uh-huh.
in as leading drummer. Unfortunately, it caused a bit of a, as it would, you know,
These things happen.
bit of unrest, yeah.
Aye, aye.
And it soon settled down, and we had 3 years under Hugh. Different. It's interesting to watch how different leaders handle different
But
things.
he was an obsessive for detail, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Aye.
He was definitely obsessed with the quality of the instrument
Yeah.
pipes,
Mhm.
and really his manner pleased. I liked his way. I thought it was really sort of sergeant majorish. It was quite
Aye,
good,
aye.
you know, but others didn't quite. There was a bit of a rift, I think. You know, it was a half and half.
I got on fine with him. Man.
Aye.
I thought he was a good guy.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
You see past it all. It's
Aye.
humorous. It's
Aye.
good, but that was 3 years. 1992, 93, 94. I think we managed to get a 5th at the Worlds one year.
Uh-huh.
Just going back to Harry's time, you know, my first year in the band there, I got to play the first 3 majors.
Mm-hmm.
Got dropped for the Worlds, got dropped for Kill, which was great, you know, absolutely great, because
Mhm.
it just shows you where you need to be, you know.
That's it.
And then the following year, under Hugh, got to play the 4 majors, including the
Uh-huh.
Worlds,
Yep.
got dropped for Kill. And I remember why I was dropped. I remember stupidly, you know, my bag was the stock was turning. I think the bass drone stock was turning. The bag. I just went up to Hugh. Hugh, my bass drone stock's turning. Do I know? Good enough, you know. So dropped through. But nah, it's funny how
We all do these
we do.
daft things.
You know,
Yeah.
taking responsibility,
I
and
know,
it's
I
funny
know.
how it takes a while for us to get that drilled in. you know.
Tommy Anderson dropped me for a entry at one point. When I was very young, you know, and
Yeah.
the bag was soaking wet, you know, and it
Yeah.
soaked all the reeds, and there's absolutely nothing you do about it. And I flung the pipes away and somebody to go and pick them up off the grass and run after them.
Gee.
That's, when you're young.
Oh, aye.
But these are good lessons.
Oh, aye. 1993.
Aye.
If I can say this as well, if this is all right. 93, fairly good season.
Aye.
Week of the Worlds band sounds great. Monday night practice, Wednesday night practice, fantastic. Friday night practice, I'm suddenly getting picked on. The reed isn't quite behaving itself, so
Aye.
there's panic. So the reed ends up coming out, and I get a spare from Clive Douglas, which is a little bit easier than what I was used to, but felt good. Good reed. Saturday, strike in, early E. Oh, probably one of the worst moments of your, you don't want to let the team down, but this was like
Right.
I say that was the Worlds that year. That was the fourth major. There was still another. Third major. There was still
Right.
Cowell, and then there was another one after Cowell in September down in London,
Yeah.
in Hyde Park. So, so as we're going to the line, Hugh's like ranting and raving, don't do this, and Stuart Liddell, no early beep E, right, in front of everybody. No early F and E, or I'll stick the bass drone up you. Well, that's all nice and relaxed. That that was Peter Hunt said that.
Aye, ready to roll live.
Aye. But great times.
Aye.
Great time. So Hugh had another season, and then Roddy took over, still with John Scullion as leading drummer, and so I think I was in the band until 1997. I think it was about 7 years in the band, and I got the opportunity to come over to Canada to play at the Simon Fraser University. It all sort of tied in well because my mum and dad were just about to retire from the
Lochvine.
the hotel trade, and
Yeah.
I'd been working in there in the bar and various other things in the business, the family business. So that was great, timing wise, perfect. So I got the opportunity. Just speaking to Alan Bevan at the time at Inverness.
Aye.
Why do you come and play with us? This would be great. Are you sure? And then the next thing, Terry Lee phones in October '97, and then sends all the tunes through fax machine. Right? Okay, this is cool. I like this. Book my flight. I get out there in January, Thursday night. Go to a practice right there, and then we do a concert down in America, Portland, on the Saturday. Right.
Aye.
So this is like, oh my God, right in the deep end, So. And Terry, being Terry, I didn't know this was coming, but he always does this to new players in concert format. He says, right, we'd like to welcome our newest guest, Stuart Liddell. He's going to do the solo for Amazing Grace, Well, my pipes are alright, So
Aye.
they were fine, Just a bit nerve-wracking.
Aye.
But right away, the band felt great.
So how long were you out there at a time then?
So
You mentioned January.
Yeah, so that was my first trip out to Vancouver, January. Got to the customs. It was a 6-month visitor's time.
6-month thing, aye.
But after a few questions with the customs fella, he did ask, how long do you want to stay? Well, 8 months would be great. No problem. Stamped.
Great,
Okay.
fantastic, yeah.
8 months as a visitor. So stayed with various people,
Mhm.
mostly Reed Maxwell in his flat in Coquitlam, and sometimes with Terry.
Yeah.
He's got a wee wing in his house there, wee bit
Mhm.
there, and that was a fantastic experience.
A lot of pipers out there, didn't they?
Aye,
How many did you reckon they had under their wing at any given time?
big machine. They had several bands.
Aye, there
Aye,
was
so-
70 odd pipers out
That's
there.
right. Yeah, big
Aye.
teaching program there. Still
Aye.
have, it's very very good.
Yeah.
But Carnegie Hall was that year as well, the first year,
Aye.
and so February.
First time ever in a pipe band playing at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, that's right. Aye, so just out there in January. The next thing we're going to New York, playing in Carnegie Hall.
Jesus.
Like, wow, this is.
Fantastic.
Went to see the David Letterman show. That was what.
Aye. And the band was going well at that
It was
time.
going really well. Yeah, a great
Uh-huh.
experience. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he prepare that band for? I never asked about Roddy. I should have. in fact, I've just asked about Roddy and then you tell him about Terry, how the contrast and how they prepared the bands for competition. So typically, how would Roddy sort of prepare a band for a competition?
I think he just I think I'm not actually, I can't remember exactly what his format was, but it was just, you know.
Is there any emphasis?
I do remember getting there, get the pipes out, and it was like 3 ranks of pipers marching up and down the canteen playing 6/8s just to warm the pipes up.
Okay.
Form a circle, Green Hills battles over, round with the drones, and then we'd run through bits and pieces, probably the whole medley, you know.
Aye.
And not an awful lot of detail, but maybe a couple of wee things. You'd be like, that wasn't quite right, this wasn't quite right, let's try it all again, you know. And then the drummers would come in and we'd run through it all again.
Yeah.
So it was good, and there was always a competition, sort of, if to make sure your pipes were not.
I'm interested in that comment because
Yeah.
I was with a band and they did a lot of fooling about with pipes during the evening, the practice evening, and a lot of time was wasted. I understand from others that Roddy didn't spend time in pipes. If your pipes were not right, you didn't play.
Aye. Which is
Aye.
the way it should be, actually. You know, you turn up to a top band, you know,
Aye, you turn up at first grade band, you should pipes.
there's
going.
certain expectations there, you know.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
However, I mean, it worked fine, and the drummers would come in, we'd do the stuff, fine, no problem. In contrast with SFU, there was less. Oh, I was talking about the competition to get the. It was sort of subconscious, if you like. You turn up and we tuned our pipes individually after we'd played the 6/8s. So
Yeah.
the competition was to make sure that your low A was spot on with your drones, you know, and sometimes we'd like this big cheer, you know, if it was howling, you know. So there's peer pressure to make sure your pipes are good, you know. No, I mean, you're in amongst the players in the band.
And did they spend a lot of time setting up chanters?
Aye, yeah, latterly, yeah, before a contest, yeah, definitely, yeah. Roddy would be the master piper,
Aye.
going round the whole band sort of thing, just 1-to-1.
Was he using his own pipes or did
Yeah.
he listen to another, like say, pipe sergeant's pipes matching up?
Just himself at that time, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Because there's 2 or 3 ways of doing it, and you know that a lot better than me. That some days pipes are going very well. Ian McClellan did that, and they just called them forth, and folk would match up to that first piper's
Yeah.
pipes
Yeah.
while he listened and sorted, sort of thing, you know.
Aye, yeah. Yeah.
Whereas other folk, like pipe majors, put their pipes up and they're constantly stopping and starting because they want to sort the
Aye.
other guy's chanter.
That's
you know.
right, yeah. Just that's
It's a different methodology.
different method. You're always looking for the easier method, aren't you? You know,
Aye.
quicker method.
Aye,
Yeah,
aye.
yeah, definitely.
It's just an aside. And what about SFU? How did they tackle the practices and that sort of stuff?
It was a 2-man thing. So turn up. It's just pipe corps to start with for half an hour, and there's no warm up. It's just like, right, Jack Lee would be very animated, and he would start picking excerpts of passages of the medley, or there's just Bay playing,
Aye.
and he would say, right, let's play this, and it'd be 3 or 4 bars worth, and he'd stop. No, this needs to be that. You know, he would fix it right there, and then we'd repeat it. You know, we'd go over and over and over until
He was happy.
yeah, until we were kind of half cemented. You know.
Mhm.
The new way. It's very, very effective. And
Aye.
Jack, animated as he is, it's quite intense, but in a good way. It's a really good positive
Positive way.
way, and sometimes humorous as well. And then you'd also do. He's a terrific ear.
Aye.
Jack. I mean, he'll go round, quick listen to the chanters, and reeds come up, down, or they're squeezed, or out and poked, or whatever. A lot of stuff goes on, but at the end of it, after 5 minutes, it sounds great. You know, very an incredible talent for that. And then at the same time, Terry would be the more musical side of things. So the overall picture, he would do the drones,
Aye.
and chip in if there's something not quite right. You know, sort of the ensemble stuff out as well. But Terry's got a great charisma.
So you would pick up a lot of different
Yeah.
methodologies there, but your earlier mid or girl band would teach you a lot of wrong things to do as well as right
And
things.
right, absolutely. Well, everybody does it
And
right and wrong, you know. So
It's all right when a member of a top six in the grade one, you don't learn that much because there's not too many mistakes getting made, but the mistakes are made at lower levels and basic mistakes, and everybody's got to learn and pick that up.
Yeah.
And that's very valuable, I suppose.
The pipe major of the Middle Band, Craig Campbell, he teaches locally as well in Dunoon. I don't know if you've met Craig, and he's got a twin brother Ian. They were the two in charge of the Middle Gael. They did a great job as well, actually.
So SFU, we could spend all day in Scottish Power and SFU. It's been well catalogued, folk know it, but I was really interested in the preparation thing. That takes me back now. You come back. Did you actually come back from SFU, start in Inverary, or were you back just naturally and you started? How did that all come about?
It was, let's see, I had a wee job briefly in the piping centre, and I can't remember what year that was. Anyway, they were trying to get teachers out to schools across the country, and there was a place in Lauder on the east coast. So the arrangement was I would go there on a Monday evening and start teaching the local kids there, and Fiona Mackenzie's the lady that was organising all that. Anyway, the whole template, the whole structure of that was really quite effective, you know. Half an hour, 2 or 3 kids each, you know, starting with the beginners, more experienced. And, you know, I thought it was really good, and I thought I'd like to try that at home as well, you know, put something back in at home in Inverary. So I started that. I got a job in the schools for one day, but I started teaching at night using this template, and it just kind of grew from there. So there was no band intended. I would never have envisioned
so you were just
myself
teaching a group that grew.
Aye. The last group of the evening were the most advanced, and they loved playing together, and they were trying to emulate being in a pipe band. There was 3 of them, and one of them had a drummer brother, and the janitor joined in with a golf strap on a bass drum, and so I had some sort of creation there that they felt was their own, you know. So I've just guided that, you know. It wasn't. I would never go and look for a pipe major job. I'll tell you, you know, but it just happened that way, you know. So that was the start of that. Would be 2003 winter time, 2004. So I've still got SFU for quite a number of years. 2008 was my last Worlds with SFU because the Inverary had grown through the grades and had the opportunity to play in grade 2.
So they started to compete fairly sharply, I understand, the novice and the one.
Right, so 2004 we were a band, we were doing lots of local gigs. We went along to a few majors to watch them, just to see if we did compete, who would we be playing against. And we did that in 04 and 05. And eventually we thought, right, we should have a go at this. So Peebles, Cowell Games, let's go in the deep end. Cowell Games was our first contest. Different kilts, had to borrow drums. It wasn't the march tunes then, it was a march medley. So we played a set of 6/8 marches there. John Wilson, Bob Shepherd, Joe Noble, can't remember the other judge, but we've laminated their sheets because that was our first contest. We had to register with the Pipe Band Association, so they gave us our affiliation number, which was 666. Good, good number, and we got 13th. That was our prize out of 17 bands, which was for us terrific, you know. Playing down the street, you get sponsored by local businesses, and we were sponsored by the Co-op Funeral Parlour. So all sort of.
So that's a good number.
Good number. So, future was good. So there you go. It just grew from that. So And a good, we got our first major prize, I think, Cowell the following year. I think we might have got a third, even fourth, can't remember. But it was 2007 where we got 4 of the 5 majors and second in the other one.
So what grade was that?
That was novice juvenile, sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Promoted to juvenile the next year, 2008, and we did really well there as well. It was 4 of the 5 majors.
That juvenile grade, I just talked to Angus about this morning. I was listening to them at Dumbarton.
Yeah.
What a grade that
It's
is.
a terrific grade now. I mean, I think we were lucky. Maybe there was a transition period when we were there because
Aye.
we were
Try
just
that
lucky.
same trick now.
Oh, aye. The timing was quite lucky, I would say.
Aye,
You know.
aye.
So that was 2008, and a couple of our players were going to age out at that point. So we made the conscious decision: what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in juvenile? Do you want to climb the ladder in the adult grade, expecting to go into grade 3 or something? You know, but they wanted to keep going, stick together. So that's fine. So that was 2008. So then I came in. I was being ably assisted by Douglas Campbell.
Mhm.
He was helping me teaching as well, so he would be the pipe sergeant, I'd be the pipe major, and Stephen McWhirter
Mhm.
also made the choice to come along. So the 3 grade 1 players there
Mhm.
boosted the band into grade 2, which was a bit intimidating because there's
That's quite a leap.
quite a leap.
It's good,
aye,
that. It's good though.
intimidating. It is good, but
Aye.
it can be
Oh, aye.
destructive as well. It depends, you know. It's a lot
I
of
know,
commitment
I
and
know.
pressure, and so
Did you have to look around for
We-
a
we-
lot of fresh players at that point?
We bolstered it a bit, yeah. I can't remember exactly who came in at that point.
Did you have to lose players, Stuart?
As we progressed, yes.
Aye.
Yeah. So, 2009, great year.
Uh-huh.
We got all the 5 majors.
Okay.
Again, we must have been lucky with the timing because grade 2 is pretty good as well. You know.
Aye, it's come up.
It's come up again, aye. So 2010 was our first grade 1 year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, gradually over time, the original band starts to deplete because a number of factors. It's getting more difficult.
It's a skill set, really.
Absolutely,
Isn't it?
and plus their own lives, they're reaching a part in their
Yeah.
own lives where they want to do their own thing.
It's no longer a fun thing, it's a
Right,
serious
that's
thing.
exactly right. And then, of course, they've got their college and uni, and
Aye.
so to keep it together, you have to bring other players in to
Aye,
keep it
aye.
going. Otherwise, it
I
wouldn't
know,
get
aye.
to where it was. You know.
Yeah. So what did you do about sponsorship over this last while?
Sponsorship's been great for when they were kids. It was no problem. Parents,
I know,
coffee
aye,
mornings,
aye,
hampers, the
aye,
whole lot.
aye.
It's great support. Now, there's every individual pays in towards the band, and we get some donations locally from businesses and.
I think it's the same all over.
Yeah.
It's financial times. Very few people can afford to sponsor pipe bands. You know.
Yeah.
And I think just about every band is taking subs, really, you know,
Yeah.
from members.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. What was it? Your grade 1. When did you win your first sort of championship?
For us, 2014
Right. Okay.
was our first sort of championship. I mean, we've done. We had they sneaked the odd
That's
prize.
labelled. What was that labelled again? The Forest one.
That was the European
European. Aye,
Championship.
Mhm.
That was the first
Yeah.
major, you know. Great.
And you've garnered a few majors
We've
since
been,
then.
yeah, we've been gathering some momentum.
Until this year, you won the Worlds.
That's right.
Fantastic. Absolutely
Thank
fantastic.
you. Aye.
But you've been knocking at the door for the last 2 or 3 years.
Aye, but we're in a great company of bands that are doing the exact same thing. It's
Aye.
a tremendous standard at the moment.
now your own preparation with Inverary, your tunes, how do you select tunes? Is it for easiness or is it for flow or what is it?
So, right, everything there that you've mentioned, you want to try and cater for the individuals. You don't want to be overly complicated, overcooked.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the standard that we're at now, yeah, we're not restricted too much, but sometimes certain tunes are a bit more laborious to play, so we try and avoid these ones.
Mm-hmm.
Marrying them all together takes a long time, a lot of effort from a lot of guys, and it's just knowing what direction to go in. I mean,
Certainness, dropping that, no the rest of it.
Right. So the way the medley is just now, I mean, it's a bit restrictive. You have certain parameters you can't cross. It's a limited time. You have to. There's no stops and starts. It's all pretty regimental, and I think we're exhausting a lot of the ideas now. So at the moment, the process is to try and come up with some new. You could call it a gimmick or new thought, new musical thought that hasn't been done before, just to keep it fresh. But
see, the Brigads in Britain, they are wide open
absolutely.
In their themes and their expression.
Yeah.
And if you saw Cap Cabal this year and their championship in August, which I did, filmed it, they did a sort of tune which was a sweet sort of thing, whereas Brigade Compare, they did a collection of tunes, so they went the opposite way again. But each was an entirely original theme, if you like, and they changed that for the winter competition again. And it's a free-flowing thing, the summer thing, whereas in the Brest one in the winter, they're restricted to a musical theme taken from one part of Brittany. But we don't seem to have cottoned on to any of that sort of stuff in Scotland yet.
Not yet.
We're still very hamstrung by times and
still with the same formula. It's been
time
the same
signatures and all this.
same formula for decades.
Yeah.
It's probably getting a bit stale now, but yeah, the Breton stuff's tremendous.
I think we're needing a radical relook, but that's my hobby horse. I'll probably cut that out. I was trying to say there again, your selection of pipers, blowing. Tell us about that.
Well, it's one of the. I think there's five basic skills in pipe band that you need to be good at, and it's be able to start, stop, make no mistake, and play well together, and blowing. You know, keeping the tone from start to finish, and yeah, that's sort of the number one thing that individuals have to try and master. And
so you get great fingers, but you kind of blow the instrument.
Well, you just need to open your ears a bit more and listen for that, and listen to those around you. But it can be practiced as well. I mean, you can practice this with somebody else in the house. You know that. But it's amazingly. Hi, Sheena. 2 minutes. Amazingly, it gets overlooked by certain individuals, and sometimes they're unaware that this is actually happening.
Aye, very much so.
You know, so that's
blowing flat D's and
right,
things like that.
Yeah. You have to be really in tune with your instrument. You have to really know it. You have to really feel it.
Aye.
Because and you have to just be as still as possible.
But they've got to be in tune with the band pitch as well. Their ear, to some extent.
But, yes, but
would you argue against
I would argue against that. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate. It can be slightly out, but if your blowing is really solid, you'll get away. You'll get away with it. It's when the blowing changes that it sticks out like a.
So the leader, the pipe major, will alter the instrument to suit that person, possibly.
Possibly.
But I'm talking about fine measurement here.
Yeah.
The last 2% of that sort of thing. Maybe blowing ferociously in the bottom hand or something,
Yeah.
But
the only way to find that out is to try it with somebody,
So do you do a lot of work with practice chanters in the winter?
A little bit before we start on the pipes in the band. Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. We do 20 minutes worth maybe.
I remember Tully telling me they just stand about with no drones on and the pipes all winter. And that's why he says, I know you play practice chanters, so he obviously took the view that they should know the tunes when they turned up. And it was right onto pipes, so
that's good.
A bit of pressure on folk, you know.
It worked perfectly well, you know, it's great, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
But and that was another way Ian McClellan blew in reeds in
well.
January and February.
For
Do
me,
you blow strong reeds?
No, not overly strong, no. With resistance, some yes, but not overkill.
And do you use cane or do you use plastic drones?
100% cane, yeah. Just going back to the practice chanter thing, that allows me to get close quarters into some of their playing, so I can hear if there's anyone slightly out in the unison. I actually catch it better than I would spaced out in the whole band, you know. That's the reason for that. But yeah, no, not hard reads, no.
So any sort of tips passing out there, just in conclusion?
In conclusion, for pipe bands? Listen, feel, listen to those around you, and practice the band skills at home. You can do it individually. You can record yourself, crank the stereo up, and play along with yourself and try and match it. It's the art of unison playing. You can hear a lot of stuff if you listen out for it, you know. So that's all I can think.
Thanks very much, Stuart.
Thanks for having me on.
It's going on a wee bit longer than what I thought, but I hope it's all valuable to the people out there.